Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited from all the way from Alberta, Canada. We were just talking how we can't, it's a good thing for Zoom because we can at least see each other this way. I have Brian Winch with me of Cleanlots.com. And Brian is the author of Cleanlots, America's, excuse me, America's simplest business. He's been involved in all aspects of the parking lot litter cleaning business since 1981. He can show you how to start and operate the simplest business based from home, make money from a green service that's almost as easy as going for a walk. I love that introduction. Now, I don't always read everybody's introduction. I sometimes put them on the spot and say, who are you? Tell me about, but I was preparing this interview and I said, make money, stay at home. This sounds like the last 17 months of our lives, the stay at home part, but the fact that we could actually make money and stay at home, I think will capture people's attentions. So now I'll say welcome and tell me a little bit about your business. It sounded so unique to me. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into this morning.
Well, it is a real simple business for people that like to work outdoors, provide a good community service, feel good about the service they're providing, and see the results from their work. I love the fact that it's early morning hours, so I'm not dealing with congested roadways, traffic, and basically I can provide my service, get in, get out, and go home and have the rest of the day to do as I please. And it really is almost as easy to do as going for a walk because we use simple hand tools and we just walk the exterior property, sidewalks, parking lots, surrounding landscape, and in a matter of minutes, clean the property and off we go to our next property.
You know what's interesting, Brian, is there's never a time I go for a walk around. I have like a almost 4 mile walk that I do. It's through my neighborhood down. I stop at a local Starbucks and then through a path. And I said to my husband the other day on the path, I said, look at all this garbage. and part of it was Starbucks cups and things like that. And I said, oh, there should be a litter container. And he said, well, somebody would have to empty it. And I said, well, how about if people don't litter on the path? But, it just seems crazy to me that people still throw their litter on the ground. Like, what is that? Like, who does that?
Yeah. You know what? It's from all demographics. I mean, I've been in the business for 40 years. It's young people, middle-aged, older people, and I think they feel entitled to do it because they try to explain it away that somebody else will clean up my mess, somebody else is making money doing this, and it's almost out of convenience for them. They don't want to carry this material, they don't want it in their vehicles. I oftentimes see people open their car doors and toss the contents out, the fast food wrappers out onto the parking lot, etc. But the interesting thing about my business, I've been around for such a long time. It was during this pandemic that actually, reinforced the need for my service. On top of the typical litter material, like coffee cups, cigarette butts, fast food wrappers, etc. All of a sudden, people were seeing and noticing and complaining about the used PPE, the used masks that people were tossing, and
you're so right, because you would go down the street and on my little path too, we're such a mobile city of driving. So, but you're walking, you're like, why is there a mask on the ground? Like, why do people drop their mask? Or in the parking lot going into the grocery store? What is it? You take your mask off and throw it on I'm done with my mask. I'll just throw it on the parking lot now.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We were concerned, when the lockdown first came into being. First of all, a lot of businesses were concerned. Okay, are we going to be able to operate? Are we an essential service? Are we not, as deemed
Right.
by the government? So, number one, we were considered an essential service. So, and then at the same time, we were thinking, well, if these businesses are shut down, what about our contracts?
Hmm.
Our customers, and our customers are property management companies. Are they going to have the budgets or the money to continue paying us? And so we found out, it was a kind of learning as the pandemic continued to rage on, progress, as to what was going to be allowed, and what businesses were going to survive and which weren't,
Hmm.
unfortunately. And we actually grew our business, our contract basis. Probably we picked up more contracts in the past year than we have or did in the previous 2 years, because our customers realize the importance of a clean, litter-free property. And especially, nobody wants to see the masks and the wipes and the
Right.
even in some cases the gloves just littering their property.
Hmm.
So they reached out to us. They found us in various means. We've got a website presence. We've got a Google My Business page. And we picked up contracts. And the great thing about the service is we're not handling any of this material. We use unique tools, hand tools, that allow us to clean up this material almost as easily as going for a walk. And then when our collection tool is full, we just empty it into a waste dumpster on site, and off we go to the next property.
Um, and you're different than, let's say, a garbage collector, correct? I mean, that's a different type of service.
Yeah, I mean, we don't haul junk or empty waste bins, etc.
Hmm.
Like the big trucks are capable of doing. Our service is an on-foot service, provided after hours. Usually early morning hours. So we can ensure that the properties that we clean for our customers are cleaned by the beginning of the business day. So it's an on-foot service. We simply walk the property, and because our service is provided usually on a daily basis or at minimum 3 times a week, we're not cleaning up a accumulation of this material.
Right.
It's simply upkeep, where our customers want their properties maintained litter free. So that's why I say it's almost as easy as going for a walk, because these properties tend to take just a matter of minutes. We don't do the big mega malls or the massive properties, which are done typically by a large, maybe landscaper
Hmm.
cleaning contractor or in-house. But we focus on the small to medium-sized properties, and there's far more of those spread throughout the city anyhow.
So my question to you, and because you're in Alberta, but I think it's an important question to ask you as a businessman who has this service, why should why should people have this service? Like if I'm in Michigan or somebody's listening in Texas, they're not necessarily going to call you, but I want them to call somebody who does a like-minded service like you. What's the mission? What's important about not just walking by that piece of litter on the ground in a parking lot?
Well, I guess people need to take ownership, take responsibility for their actions. And so if you're talking about somebody who is currently just littering the property, there are typically litter containers throughout the property,
Hmm.
especially in front of the fast food restaurants or the convenience stores. And it doesn't take much really to discard your waste in there, or have a bag in your vehicle, and so you can place the fast food wrappers in there, and then properly dispose of it when you get home, or if you're close to a litter container in your travels. So it just having concern for the community and where you live. I mean,
Hmm.
if you are clean at home and maintain a nice property, then you should have the same attitude when you're out and about in the community at other properties. I would say.
How do and I agree with you. How do you get your message across? Because it's an important message. And it's, one of the reasons I wanted to have this conversation is I think the type of business you have isn't one that we talk to a lot.
Yeah, usually people don't see the service being provided,
Right.
so they don't. It doesn't really come to mind. Sometimes they might think, well, I wonder, why this property's so clean. Somebody must be cleaning it.
Yeah.
Who
How
does
did,
it? And, what type of machinery or what type
hmm
of equipment do they use?
hmm
So yeah, people, this is a great opportunity for people that like being outdoors, and like feeling good about what they do, and making their community a cleaner, litter-free place. And I'll be the first to admit, it's not a sexy business. It's not the most glamorous business,
hmm
but for those of us that enjoy going for morning walks, and making some extra money, and even turning it into a full-time business like I did. We typically gross over $700,000 a year just
hmm
cleaning up litter from commercial property. So it is possible. You just need to be willing to do it if that's the type of person that you are.
Brian, one of my favorite, this sounds crazy, but it's one of my favorite places on earth. And it's one of my favorite things when I'm there is Disney World. And when I see these guys, you know, if you've ever been to Disney World or Disneyland, one of the things you often wonder where the garbage is. There, it's the cleanest place, and you're like, you see the trash bins, but there's no garbage. And every once in a while, there's somebody who goes by and they're cleaning the streets. And if you know anything about Disney World, there's tunnels underground and great cool things about what they do with the garbage. So, visitors really don't see it. But I often think like, these guys need to go out into the world because we don't need to see cigarette butts. I can't, my daughter is amazing. She lives in New York, and she will yell at people when they throw their cigarette butt on the street. She'll be like, "Did you just throw that down? Can you
Yeah.
please pick that up?" And I'm almost horrified that she does it, but I'm also thankful. This is our environment, this is our land. And you're right. You don't have the sexiest job on earth, but you have one of the most important jobs on earth, because you're keeping our environment clean. And
Well, thank you,
that's,
thank you.
you
And
know,
like Disney, they're a prime example of a major corporation that is concerned with their image. They don't
mhm,
want people walking about their grounds and seeing litter material.
right.
They want the people to come away with a good time, but also thinking, well, you know what, their properties were spotless. And it's the same thing with my clients. My clients are property management companies, and they are concerned about the image that they portray in the community. They want their properties to appreciate in value, not depreciate, fall apart and fall into a state of disrepair. So they recognize that the various services that are required to maintain their properties, and mine is one of those.
Well, I appreciate your time. I want to make sure that people learn more about you and what you're doing. And it's Cleanlots with an S on the end.com. It's in the link of today's interview. But if you are a property owner, somebody who lives and works and goes outside into the property you work, and you see a lot of garbage, please investigate why your property isn't being maintained. This is very different than your waste disposal system, and it's important. You should not be living, and we should not be walking around in this environment, in our world, in our environment, to see the trash that is going on. It goes someplace. So please also do not litter. I like to say that means gum wrappers, gum. Gum is not it does not just disappear into the world. Please don't throw things out the window when you're driving on the highway. It makes me nuts. I will, drives me crazy. Like I'll be like driving and something like, well, I remember as a kid, like people would toss their, I, I never understood that. I'm like, leave it in your dirty car.
Or
So
have a container in your vehicle for stuff like that.
I'm OCD about my car, so I get it. Like, but you know, I went to the car wash the other day and I just had little wrappers, throw them in the little wrappers and then vacuum. So anyway, thank you for your time today. I appreciate it. Enjoy Alberta. Sounds
Thanks, Sari.
all right. See you soon, I hope. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.